Hi Homeworthy, I'm Fran. Welcome to my Flatiron apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Fran Acciardo. I am a tech consultant and part-time content creator here in New York City. The story of this apartment, what a journey. I think we looked at 14 or 15 apartments. I was previously living downtown in an apartment in Soho for about 3 years, and then my boyfriend and I decided to move in together. So we started looking at apartments. We originally thought we would move to the Upper East Side. We thought we would get a 2-bedroom. We really didn't know what we wanted or where we wanted to be, but we just wanted something a little bit bigger than what I had before and something fun that felt like us. So we used my broker that I used for my old apartment, and he kind of showed us around all different neighborhoods, all different types of buildings, all different types of units. And I just felt like I didn't want to live in a regular apartment. So we'd seen about a dozen apartments, and I found this apartment on Street Easy, and I said, I really want to go see this. It has a fireplace, it has skylights, it has a little kitchen window. Like, it seems so whimsical and fun. So I basically begged my broker to show us this apartment. He was like, I don't want to show it to you. It's very small, smaller than all of the other ones you've seen. I don't think you're gonna like it. And I was like, no, it's got something. I want to see it. So we came, we were in the hallway. There were, I'm sure anyone who's found an exciting apartment on Street Easy knows this, but people kind of like line up outside the door, and immediately I was like, oh, other people are interested in it? Like, I'm gonna like it. So I peeked inside and I saw the mantel, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could be it. And we came inside, I saw the skylight. There was so much natural light, so much character to the space. And I was basically like, I don't care how small it is. I wanna live in this apartment. So we put in an offer a little bit over the asking price. And that night, I think we signed our lease. Welcome to my living room and my dining room. When you walk into the space, this is kind of like the first thing that you see. It's a pretty open layout. This is actually my favorite little nook of the entire apartment. When we first saw the apartment, we absolutely loved the kitchen window. It is so charming. We love to entertain, have friends over. Joe is an amazing cook, amazing little chef. And so when he's cooking in the kitchen and we're hanging out here, he's not left behind. He's not lonely in the kitchen. I always kind of knew right off the bat that I wanted to put wallpaper and sconces up on this wall. I went back and forth about what I wanted, and then ultimately I just thought this neutral, warm grass cloth just added like a nice, fun and appealing without being anything too crazy. We added these sconces, which I absolutely love. They are renter-friendly sconces. One of my favorite things about them is that you just turn them on and off with a remote control, but they are magnetic. So you can swap out these little lampshades and just click them, magnet them right back onto the sconce. So I feel like every season I'm gonna need some new shades of just like seasonal sconces. So I absolutely love how this turned out. And then another thing I knew kind of right off the bat was that I wanted a banquette for this area. I just felt like when you look at this space from across the room, it's nice to have one uniform piece here. So as opposed to having 4 chairs that could make it look a little too cluttered, the banquette just really grounds the space. I had a really hard time finding a banquette. I felt like at one point, I thought I was gonna make one from scratch. I texted my friend and I was like, where is the lumber yard? I need wood. I have to make myself a banquette. And then I actually found this one at ABC Home, a local home store here in Flatiron. And it has been the most perfect addition to this space. So funny story about these pillows. When I first moved to New York, I moved into my last apartment and I had no furniture. I never lived on my own before. I needed everything. So the first Saturday that I had to myself in New York City, I went to Jonathan Adler and I bought these pillows. And at the time, I I think it was like the most expensive thing I'd ever like bought for myself, like 2 nice throw pillows from a store here in the city. It was so crazy. And they laid the foundation for the entire look and feel of my last apartment. They're some of my favorite things I own. I'm always posting about them. I feel like they're my signature piece, these little ripple wavy pillows. And I love that on one side, they're green and white, and then on the other side, they're white and green, which is fun. Sometimes if I'm feeling like cool and chill, I do both white. And then if I'm feeling extra whimsical, I'll do opposite, mix and match. And then this is our oval dining table. It's nice because you can just like slide right in and sit on the banquette. For about 5 minutes, we had a rectangular wood table, but it just was not conducive with the banquette. So we love the way this oval table is easy to slide in and out of. So when we first moved into the apartment, we were ready to unpack all of our boxes, but we had so much glassware and so many random bar items that we didn't know what to do with. So we had a really hard time looking for the perfect piece. And then we actually found this on Facebook Marketplace. Originally, I thought it was kind of underwhelming. It didn't really excite me, but now it's one of my favorite pieces that we have in the apartment because it just blends perfectly in. So we store all of our barware, glassware, extra books, just pretty things to kind of stylize it. And I love the way it sort of completes the whole dining area, like having our glassware, having our cookbooks right next to our dining table. It sort of just makes sense. This Campari print Joe gave me as a gift before I moved to New York, and I had it framed, and I love the way the burl looks with the brick and the way the wood and the burl and the brick all kind of work together. It's very neutral, so it kind of lets all of my fun, colorful things pop. So when we first saw the apartment, when we were kind of like standing outside in a line with all these other people waiting to see, you can see from the front door this beautiful marble mantle. I was so excited. Of course, classic New York rental, it doesn't work. It's not a working fireplace, but the mantle itself is so beautiful. I think every unit there's only 6 units in the building, but I think each unit has its own unique mantle, which is cool. Our building's very old, and I just feel like this piece it's so pretty, and it just sparks so much joy. So I had a lot of fun styling it. We keep our books in the mantle. There's nowhere else really to put them. I know it's a little weird maybe to have the books there, but I think it's colorful, it's fun. I have these taper candles here. I actually saw a photo of Jenna Lyons' Soho apartment from years ago, and she had 30-inch tall taper candles, and I just thought that was like so cool, so fun. They are much taller than a regular taper candle, and I feel like they just add so much height to the mantle. Right here, I have this arrangement. I found these flowers at the farmer's market, which is where I get most of my flowers. I thought these bell flowers were so pretty. And I love putting a big arrangement here. In the spring, I add branches. Around Christmas time, I'll add garland and a ton of candlesticks. It's just really fun to switch up my mantle and restyle my mantle. This mirror I found on Facebook Marketplace. The previous tenant had a mirror on the mantle, so I kind of knew I wanted to do something similar. He had a beautiful mirror that was very tall. It looked amazing and helped make the room feel very large. I have yet to find something similar that's quite as large, that's within my budget, but I did find this mirror on Facebook Marketplace for a great deal, and I love the way it looks. It's very simple. We have a lot of gold, little gold accessories in our apartment, so I feel like this looks nice with that, and it's just very simple, easy to style the mantle around a simple mirror. I love the look of a mirror on a mantle. I feel like it's just right. I feel like it's one of my favorite design tricks is to put a mirror on a mantle. Always works. So I love this. I also love that because when you walk in the apartment, you see the mantle right away. The mirror helps kind of reflect and show you more of the apartment from upon entering. So that's great from a visual aspect as well. One of my favorite small space hacks is to find places where you can hide things. This banquette that I'm sitting on, has a lot of things hidden underneath the slipcover. We also used to have a different couch with a different layout, and I hid all of my shoes under the couch. The skylight is one of my favorite things about the apartment. I love the level of lighting that it brings in. Our apartment is south facing, but it's one of the shorter buildings on the street, so it actually doesn't get a ton of light despite being on the top floor. So the skylight in this room really brightens up the space. We also have skylights in the kitchen and in the bathroom, which just makes such a big difference in levels of lighting. My only criteria for this apartment and the last apartment I lived in were natural light and a dishwasher. So one of the biggest challenges in designing this apartment is the very narrow staircase that you climb up to the top of. So when we moved into this apartment, we had my old couch. It was a small couch. You could barely sit comfortably and like watch a movie and hang out on it. But we had it for over a year because it was very hard to find a new couch that would fit up the stairs. We found this couch. We did have to cut it apart and have it put back together, but we're so happy. It is very comfortable. We can fit tons of people on it. You can sit and watch a movie, watch a basketball game, watch a show, and it's so comfortable. It's very deep. We actually found it on Facebook Marketplace, and it worked out so well because the girl who had to remove it from her apartment had to take it apart to get it out of her unit. So they took it apart at her apartment, brought it up our stairs, put it back together, and we're just so happy to have a big, comfortable couch. One of the challenges though, when we got this couch, is that because it's very deep, we had sort of like this awkward large space to fill. I had the hardest time finding a side table. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I would stagger some drinks tables or something. And then I found this side table on Facebook Marketplace. It is vintage. We found it from the sweetest old man. It was under $100, which is one of my favorite things about Facebook Marketplace is you can find these antique treasures for amazing prices. So it has all this cool wood detailing and then this marble top. And I just love the way it kind of solved that design challenge for us by being large but low and taking up just perfect amount of space all around. So we had our old couch and a big blank wall for a very long time. This wall is huge and it's just big and plain, and we had no idea what to do with it. We thought about doing 2 or 3 large pieces of art, but we have our gallery wall in the entry and it just seemed like it would be too busy, too much. So we just wanted one big piece. So I was looking far and wide. I couldn't find anything I wanted for art until one day I saw a TikTok of someone who had a beautiful abstract piece very similar to this, and I commented on the video and I said, where is that piece of art from? And she said it was from Meg Indy, and I was so excited because Meg and I actually met at a photo shoot for our friend Wells' small business, Swells. She makes the cutest silk scarves. We met at a Swells photo shoot in 2023. We were both models, modeling the silk scarves. It was so fun, and that's how I met Meg. So when I saw that this abstract piece was by Meg, I immediately called her. I said, Meg, I am struggling to find art. Is there any way you'd be willing to make me something? And she so kindly agreed. She is such a talented artist based out of Georgia. She used to live in the city, but moved back to Georgia a couple years ago. And I am so grateful that she was willing to make me a piece. She made the color palette just feels so me. It's so light, it's airy, it's all my favorite colors, and I absolutely love how it worked in the space. That's like one of my favorite things about living in New York is that you're always meeting all these like creative, talented people. So very exciting to have a beautiful painting, but also such a great story behind it. When it delivered, she actually also, we were hanging up on the wall and I noticed she wrote me like a little poem on the back, and it's all about like the impracticality of it all and like living in the city and things like that, which are just so special to me. So the piece came. The coffee table was one of the first things we ever got in the apartment, and then it came time to find throw pillows. And I was like, okay, I have this airy, whimsical, abstract art, this grass cloth kind of funky coffee table. How am I ever going to find throw pillows that tie all of this together? So I was looking high and low. I was texting all my friends. I was like, I need help finding throw pillows. And I actually found these from an Etsy shop online. So they were able to make lumbar pillows in this fabric custom for me. The Etsy shop was amazing. They made them very quickly, and I just love how they look. The chartreuse pulls in from the painting, and then this sort of like geometric print pulls in the coffee table. I feel like these pillows really transformed the space. I love the way the lumbar shape looks on this style of couch, and I just feel like they really pulled everything together, both with color, with texture, with shape. So I am very excited about my throw pillows and my painting. So this is our coffee table. I have it styled just with a couple of my favorite coffee table books. And then actually in this bowl, we have these custom matchbooks. So Joe actually gave these to me as a Christmas gift before we moved in together, and I love them. They have the little F and J. They have some scenes from Rome, which is the first place we traveled together. They have the New York skyline, some of our favorite little treats, hot dogs, all the things. So these are really cute. We love them. Every time friends come over, we're like, okay, you have to go home with your little souvenir. So that is such a special touch. I have this little flower arrangement. I love peonies. I love making flower arrangements. So I always have flowers everywhere, fun little assortment in all of my little vases. And then one of my favorite candles and these fun coasters. I actually met a friend who used to have a small design business, and she gifted me these coasters, and I just feel like they're so like cheeky and fun. So I love these. I love making flower arrangements. It is like my passion in life. I usually get my flowers from the farmer's market, the Union Square Green Market. It's very close to my apartment, and I actually feel like living so close to the green market has just like fueled my passion for flower arrangements. But to prepare for Homeworthy, I wanted even more grand, even better flowers. So I went to the flower district on 28th Street yesterday morning at 7 a.m. where I stocked up on flowers. So I got beautiful peonies, viburnum, these calla lilies, which are incredible. They are so tall. I was amazed when I saw them. And I just arranged everything in all of my different vases. Any excuse to put like 6 different flower arrangements in my apartment is perfect for me. That was kind of the biggest thing I did to prep for the shoot. I also hung up curtains. I think the best part about this Homeworthy shoot is that it kind of gave me an excuse to do all of the things that I'd been putting off. So I'd been putting off hanging curtains since we moved in. I had my old curtain rods like hiding in my closet, and finally a couple weeks ago we hung them, which was exciting. One quirky thing about this rental is that our floors are very warped. So while the curtains are slightly short on this side, they're a little too long on this side. It's just perks of living in New York. So this is my desk. This is where I work almost every single day. I work from home, and I love this desk. I was previously used to living in my old apartment where I had one tiny table that was my dining table, my desk. It was my only table. So I am very grateful to be able to sprawl out on this desk. There's an Anthropologie furniture outlet a couple hours away in Connecticut. So we borrowed a friend's car. We drove up there one day after we'd moved in. We didn't really have anything particular in mind that we were looking for, but we figured we need to furnish an entire apartment. Let's just go see what they have. So we got up there. They had a few desks. They had this beautiful desk, and we were like, this is perfect. This will fill the space where we want to put the desk. This is great. And we got it for probably like 90% off retail value, which was very exciting. It's definitely not in perfect condition. It's a little bit warped, and it doesn't have the handles, but because the floors are warped anyway, we just did a little crafting down there to kind of lift up the legs and have it sit evenly and have it be as sturdy as possible. So it's an amazing desk. These cabinets open up and provide a ton of storage. I've got all my stationery here. Joe has all of his little electronics in here. And then this chair, because I work from home every day, I wanted a chair that was actually functional, but of course had to be visually appealing as well. So this is my desk chair. It is comfortable to sit in, but it also looks really nice with the desk. And then just have this cute needlepoint pillow that I found in Nantucket last summer. This lamp right here, I have had this lamp almost my whole life, I want to say. I had this in my childhood bedroom. I've had it in all my apartments. I love this lamp. I think it's just so fun. I've got a few framed photos. And then in this corner, the desk, while the desk does have good storage, I have a lot of things, so I'm always tucking my little papers and things over here in the corner. We have our basil plant. We're gonna see how long we can keep that alive for, but it smells really good and it's nice to have a little greenery in the window. This framed piece right here is actually one of my favorite pieces of art, if you want to call it art, in the apartment. One of my best friends and I, we went to Paris a couple years ago, a spontaneous weekend. We were having drinks at a bar and the bartender wrote down all of his favorite places in Paris for us. And then as a surprise, she had it framed for me a couple years later. And I just think it's so pretty, but it also, I just love things with a story. So every time I look at it, I'm like, we should get ourselves back to Paris. So that is this little corner. So last but not least, in the living room behind my big flower arrangement is one of my favorite pieces of art. When I first moved to New York, I discovered Click, which is a home store. They have a few locations downtown. And I found this beautiful piece. I think the original is by Tiggy Ticehurst. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to get it. I couldn't decide if I was going to get it or not. And then a couple weeks later in the mail, my best friend surprised me. She had painted me a sort of like a very similar version of it, and I was so excited. It was like the best gift, and it's just so fun. I love the piece, and then I also love that my best friend made it for me. So it is very special, and it leads us right on into our bedroom. So I actually started creating content when I was 12 or 13. I started a blog in 8th grade with some of my friends. We were just in middle school in the library and all thought it would be fun to start these blogs. And I didn't even know what a blog was. I went home and I made one, and I never really thought it was going to be something that would last like till the end of the week. If you had told me I would be doing adjacent content related things 13 years later, I would have not believed you. But it has been such a big part of my life. It's so fun. I feel like I've been doing this now longer than I haven't been doing it, which is so crazy to think about, but it is really fun. I work in tech. I am very like math oriented, and having a creative outlet it kind of like completes my life. I feel like I can use all different sides of my brain, and it gives me something like fun to do. It's a hobby, but it's also like my passion. I have so much fun decorating my apartment and taking photos, and I've met so many new friends and had so many exciting opportunities because of creating content. So it's something I'm really grateful for, and something that I'm just so happy has been such a big part of my life. Welcome to our bedroom. We'll have to squeeze. This is our tiny little bedroom. When we first moved into this apartment, I kind of posted like apartment reveal on TikTok, and I feel like the internet had a lot to say about my little bedroom. Behind our bed is our closet. So when I'm having a meltdown about my outfit, I'm probably like struggling back here trying to find something. I tell myself having these closet doors is just like a fun way to look at all of my pretty things, but in an ideal world, I would love to have the room laid out a little bit differently. But honestly, I think the apartment it's a great space. So if this is the worst of our problems, we'll survive. The funny thing is that when we were setting up the room like this and we wanted to add a headboard, it was kind of like, okay, how are we going to do that? So the headboard is zip tied to the bed frame, which is a little bit crazy, but that's how it all stays up. And it's actually surprisingly very sturdy. So I'm glad we were able to find a renter-friendly solution to this strange layout. Our bedding is pretty simple. I always like to throw in a pop of green wherever I can to make Joe feel like so involved in my design choices. But a funny little thing, we are at the top floor of our building, so this is the penthouse. So we have this cute embroidered pillowcase that says the penthouse, which I love. It matches our green linens, and we just try to make the bedroom look as pretty as we can with our limited space. So this is my dresser. This is probably my favorite thing that I own. I've had this dresser my whole life. When I was little, it was white. And then one summer in middle school, I came home from summer camp and my mom was painting it neon green, which was funny. I had a very white bedroom growing up, so this is always like my big pop of color. And then right before I moved to New York, I painted it navy. I added new hardware, and I have squeezed it into both this apartment and my last apartment because I just can't get rid of it. Like, my criteria for an apartment is as long as my dresser fits, everything will be fine. So not only is it a very special piece to me, but it also holds so much. I probably have like 50 sweaters in this drawer alone. So I am very grateful for the storage. I'm also grateful to have a big place where I can just put all of my little things. As you can see, I have a lot of perfumes, and I love putting all my pretty things out for display. This tray is actually one of my favorite things in the apartment. I have a very hard time finding trays. So I was in Palm Beach a couple years ago and I stumbled upon this store, St. Frank. They make their own fabrics and they cover different things in their fabrics. So I purchased this tray there and I absolutely love it. I also have a few framed photos of my friends and my family, and a lot of my jewelry out on display. I change my earrings almost every single day. So I've got all of my earrings organized in here and all of my jewelry here, clips, accessories, and all my fun little things. You might not be able to tell, but I do live with my boyfriend. I am very grateful that he lets me more or less do whatever I want when it comes to decorating. I always joke his favorite color is green, so I'll get something super girly, but as long as it has like a little splash of green, it's like, oh, I actually got this for Joe. So my last apartment was very pink. It was pink coffee tables, pink accents everywhere. And in this apartment, I tried to downplay the pink, but I definitely still have a lot of fun elements. I have fun throw pillows and fun little accessories everywhere. So as long as I just incorporate that little touch of green, I'm good. Okay, welcome to our entryway. I love how our entryway turned out. We have this Burl console. This was actually a housewarming gift from my dad, which was nice. I love the way the scalloped edge is like fun and modern, but the burl is kind of a little bit more traditional. We have great opportunity for storage. We throw down our keys. I've organized all of my favorite little coffee table books. We have some of our custom little matches here. So if you forgot to grab one, you can grab one on your way out. And then we did a gallery wall. The main reason we did the gallery wall was because of our buzzer. It's just sort of this ugly big thing on the wall. So the gallery wall was a good opportunity to kind of help it blend in and just put pieces all around it. A few of these I've just pulled from magazines when I wanted to just kind of fill the art, but didn't know what to put in. But these two are probably my favorite. Last year for my birthday, we went to Monkey Bar for dinner, which is one of my favorite restaurants in the city. So this is the little postcard that they give you on your way out. And then this is a gold foil print of New York City. I'm kind of thinking like at some point we should add a little dot where our apartment is. And then we just threw in a few of our photo booth strips from different nights out in the city, and it's always fun when there's a photo booth around. This is another Match South print. This is a Mizzou matchbook. My boyfriend went to Mizzou and he is very passionate about Mizzou, so had to throw him a bone and add it to the gallery wall there. These are some of my favorite coffee table books. I love pink, but I have restricted myself to just my two little elements here. This is actually a Rummy Cube set. It's kind of like a fancy Rummy Cube set. We love games. We love Rummy Cube. Joe gave this to me as a birthday gift, and I just love like any way you can make something regular more fun. So I love that I've got my fancy little Rummy Cube set. Over here are some more of my favorite coffee table books. One of my oldest friends actually surprised me with this book a couple months ago. Down here we just have a catch-all. Joe wanted me to mention his baseball glove. One of our favorite things about our neighborhood is that we live really close to some of our best friends, like just a few blocks away from some of our best friends. So he'll go out and play catch with one of his best friends who lives like a block away. We're near a lot of parks, which is really nice. That's the console. I store some of my little bags that I'm always using, and sometimes we'll just throw our shoes under here as well. So great storage. I think it's a great use of the space. We used to have this tiny shoe rack that was very ugly, and I think this console is just a great way to make the most of the width that we have here, but it's nice and narrow, so you can still walk into the apartment and have plenty of room to turn and take off your shoes and throw down your keys and everything. One of the very first things I did when we moved into our apartment was I DIY'd these floors with peel and stick tiles from Amazon. You can kind of see the entryway from anywhere that you are in the rest of the apartment, and the previous tiles were just plain white squares that were driving me crazy. I couldn't stand it. I honestly feel like this was the best use of my time because it's held up pretty well, and I just feel like it completely transformed the entire apartment. So I'm really happy I did this. It's very easy. I feel like anyone can do it. I definitely didn't do a perfect job. I think I have opportunity to redo some of the tiles, but I just love the way it transformed the space. It's easy to remove when we inevitably move out, and it's not too expensive. So it's a great DIY, highly recommend. And on the opposite wall from the console, we have these cute framed pennants. So I went to the University of Wisconsin and Joe went to the University of Missouri, and then they're also both our home states. So it's kind of like a fun, special thing that you see right when you walk in the apartment, like, this is our apartment, this is us. So it's cute to have these framed here. I found the pennants both on eBay, I think. They were like fun little vintage finds. So I think this is such a cute touch. And then right off the entry, we have our big coat closet, which is very nice. Tons of storage. This is a game changer for me to have a coat closet, so that's very exciting. And then right across from the front door, we have our bathroom, which is small, but we've tried to make it as cute as possible. We have this New York wallpaper that I absolutely love. One of my favorite details is that it's got the Spring Street subway stop on it, which is actually where I used to live, so that's very special. And then we have our custom little penthouse towels, because like I said, we're at the top floor, so those are cute. So we've tried to make the little bathroom as cute as possible. It's also very nice when you're getting ready, doing your makeup and everything. We have a skylight at the top of our shower, which lets a lot of beautiful natural light into the bathroom. One of the funny things about this skylight and about this apartment is that it's near a school, and I think these kids are the happiest kids in New York. They must have recess all day because when you're in here, no matter what time of day it is when I'm working from home, if I come in the bathroom, they are outside screaming, and it just makes me laugh. It is so funny and so loud. I'm like, why are they screaming so loud? So we love that. It's funny. It makes me laugh. I think something I think about a lot when I'm decorating my home or picking out a new piece is I just want everything to feel like me and to feel like us. Like, I look on Pinterest and I see so many homes that I love and are the prettiest home I've ever seen. But I think what makes my home so special is that it just feels like me and it feels like us, and everything in it just feels like a perfect representation of who we are. All of the fun colors and all of the fun pieces of furniture and accessories all together are just, every little thing is like a memory and has something special tied to it, and all of that together, my home is such a representation of my life and of our lives and of all the fun memories that we've made together and individually. So I think that's the best part about curating a home, is being able to look around and see all of the little fun memories that you've had over your life and how they contribute to your happy place where you live every day. Thank you so much, Homeworthy, for touring my home. It was a lot of fun, but I've got to get back to work. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.